everybody, and welcome to the January edition of What's New in the Library. I decided that with all of the gloom and cold that's happening outside, we'd find something kind of crazy to talk about this month. So we're going to feature 4 fantasy series. Now keep in mind that fantasy books are books that take place in a magical, mythical place, and they have creatures that aren't real and crazy languages. A lot of times they have a map in them. So we're going to look at some today that are really popular, especially in our library. The first one I want to talk about is called Fablehaven. It's by Brandon Mull. He's a really popular fantasy author. This particular series has 5 books in it, and it's about Fablehaven, which is a kind of a refuge for mystical and magical creatures, witches, imps, goblins, trolls, and the main characters are Seth and Kendra, their brother and sister, and their grandfather is the keeper of Fablehaven. He's the one that keeps it safe. And something bad happens, and it's up to Seth and Kendra to keep Fablehaven protected and kind of save the world. So really good series here. Again, 5 in Fablehaven. So our next book is called The Books of Pelennor. And this is actually book 2, The Riddle, but book 1 is called The Naming. And there are 4 books in this series. It's about a girl named Mayrid. And Mayrid has had a really tragic past. A lot of bad things have happened to her. But she's starting to develop her magical powers. And along with her mentor, who's helping her kind of learn to use her powers, they have to kind of fill the balance between good and evil. And there's a really bad guy, and it reminds me a lot of a fantasy version of Star Wars. Like somebody who's getting their powers, and they're being trained, and there's a really bad group and there's a really good group, and it just reminds me of Star Wars, except in more of a fantasy, because Star Wars is science fiction. But this is a really good series if you like big time fantasy, because this one has lots of mythical, magical things, kind of its own language, its own world. I mean, it is big time fantasy, so if you're into that kind of thing, this one will be great for you. Our next series is called Inkheart, and this is one of the most popular fiction books of the last 20 years. This one is a New York Times bestseller. It's been made into a movie, and it's incredible. It's about a girl named Meggie whose dad reads her a story, and suddenly the bad guy from the story pops out of the pages of the book and into her home. And it's up to her to figure out what magic she possesses to basically put him back in the book, to get control of all the chaos that's going on. This is truly one of the most loved fantasy series that was written over the last few decades, and it's really popular around the world. We do have the whole series here in our library, so you should take a look at Inkheart.
So I'm going to tell you about the book Serendipity in Me. It's about this girl who's sick, and she has to do her homework at home, and then this girl comes and she tells the girl about how she's always wanted a cat, and then this cat comes and at their doorstep, and their dad doesn't like cats, and so then they take time to find out if they would decide to keep it or give it away, and she only has a couple hours to find out if someone wants to adopt it or not. So it's a really good book, and I think you should read it.
Boys are very good books. It's about a boy named Jake Taylor. His life takes a very unexpected turn and leads him to find a boy named Chris. Together, their life ends up to be very well until Jake leaves for college in Kentucky. He starts making the same bad choices that he did in high school, but in the end, everything gets worked out, and it's a very great book. I recommend Jake's choice and to save a life.
My name is Rayleigh Sutter in Miss Leish's class. I'm going to be doing The Ghost of Tupelo Landing. It's about Mo. The characters are Mo, which is a girl, and Dale and Harm Crenshaw, Miss Lena, Colonel, and Nellie Blake, which is the ghost. And I really like this book because I've never really read mystery before, and I thought it would be a good topic. And I've already read 3 Times Lucky, and I want to read The Odds of Getting Even as well. They're all in a series. I recommend this to anyone who liked mystery, ghosts, or getting sort of scared during books.
Lots of new books in this month. This one is Ghostlight, new scary book. I Survived True Stories, people who've survived. The next book in the Mortality Doctrine series, Friends for Life, new realistic fiction. Dumplin', a great new story about a girl building confidence. Stranded, survival. This book is one about conjoined twins. Stick, a great new sports book. The newest book in the Confession series by James Patterson. Dead Zone, the sequel to Blackout. Catacomb, the newest book in the Asylum series. Winter, the new book in the Lunar Chronicles. Extraordinary, good new realistic fiction. Blood and Salt, this one's been recommended by several students. City Love, a new romance book. Took, the newest book from Mary Downing Hahn. Bad Girls of Hysteria Hall, another good horror. Molina, the story of the Molina family, the biography of the presidential candidate, Dr. Ben Carson. The second book in the House of Robots series. Ty Cobb, the biography of the baseball player. The third book in the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children series. Unbroken, the story that goes with the movie. Tacopedia, learn everything about tacos. The Detour, the newest book by S.A. Bodine. A great new memoir, The Courage to Compete, about a girl with cerebral palsy. Crenshaw, the new book from Catherine Applegate, who wrote The One and Only Ivan. It's that time of year again. The Winter Writing Contest is going on now. There are 2 different age level divisions and 4 different groups. So 5th and 6th graders will be judged together and 7th and 8th graders will be judged together. The 4 different categories are poetry, creative writing, narrative or personal narrative, and nonfiction writing. And the winner in each category gets $25. So as long as you get your entry in to Mrs. Berger by the end of the day on January 29th, you will be entered to win. We will judge them and narrow them down to the top 3 here at Beaker and then send them to the Marshall Writers Guild to pick the final winners. And they will come and award the money to you guys. So put that pencil to paper and start writing.